All right. And we are live. We are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. It is February 20th. It's already February 20th. It's crazy. February 20th, 2022. 7 a.m. in the morning. Good morning, Facebook. It's great to see everybody. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Barbara. How are we all doing today? Good morning, Abby. Hope all is well. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, guys. Yes, it's going to be an awesome session today. Cannot wait to, share and discuss, and commune with all of you. There's been, Lord of mercy, a lot is an understatement, but there's been a lot that's been happening since the last time I've been on, which gives me great confidence in knowing that, we're all doing the right thing and doing what we need to do, even though we're, inundated with the everydays. But long term, everybody's doing great things. We're doing big things over here, guys. Aura, good morning. Good morning. Adam, good morning. It's great to see you.
Good morning.
Great to see your black screen. Oh, there you go, Adam. What's up?
What's up, brother Omari? How you doing this morning?
Doing well, doing well. It's good to see you.
You too, brother.
And again, Facebook. I can't see you, but I know you're there. So good morning. Good morning. I hope all is well. Hope everybody's doing good. We're going to have an amazing session today. So before we start, I just want to make sure that everybody has what they need. Again, it's early in the morning. I got to make sure I got my coffee and my avocado toast so I can get ready and be ready. So if you have anything to drink, if you got something you need to munch on, go ahead and grab that. I was gonna say you might need, but you're gonna need a pencil today and some paper or a marker or a crayon or some chalk, whatever you need to write, use that. Tablet works as well. Technology is also always great, used properly. So get everything you need and anything you need to write with, because again, I'm going to be sharing some information that I feel is important and very useful. All right. So with that said, let's get it started.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together.
Man, that was beautiful. I got yo. Jasmine Gibson is amazing. She's amazing. I love you guys. Hope all is well. Again, good morning. I get the great pleasure of kicking off this week's session, and I'm so excited about it. This is the Revolutionary Week. So everything that we're going to be speaking about this week is going to be focused on being a revolutionary and using our gifts, our talents, our thoughts, our process in order to, create community, create togetherness, create an army in order to, fight for good. So that's what we're here for today. So, hey, Auntie Joy, how you doing? Love you too. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get today's session started. So I was sharing earlier, with the admin team that, I didn't really kind of know what I was going to be specifically discussing today, but like I said, everything is aligned and I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about now. So I'm super excited to share with y'all. So first of all, well, like I said earlier, I'm not sure if those of you who may just have gotten in, maybe gotten in a little bit late. If you can, just grab a pencil, grab a pen, grab something to write on, because I'm going to be, giving you guys some really good information today. So first, I'm going to show you guys this book. This is an amazing book. It's called Skip the Line. It's written by James Altucher. What this book, and write this down, please. Write the name of this book. This is a great read for anybody and everybody who is trying to attain goals and who doesn't have time, which is all of us. So I'm gonna read just the top part of it. It says, the 10,000 experiments rule to other surprising advice for reaching your goals. So the 10,000 experiments rule and other surprising advice for reaching your goals. So I started reading this book in 2021, actually, like the end towards the beginning, end of 2021, beginning of 2022, and I had to put it down. Didn't have to put it down, actually. I ended up putting it down because just my schedule changed, my life kind of changed, and I wasn't on the same regimen as I usually was, which is also another point that I want to bring up. And this is why this community is so great, because it gives you a reason to be up in the morning. And it's so important to start your day with intention. So like when we're trying to do that as individuals, sometimes it gets difficult because we get sidetracked easily. But when you have a community like, Wake Up, where you're going to be, one, getting important information, and then also two, doing it in fellowship, like it makes it a lot easier to be up and be present, right? And that's super important. Like I'm up all the time at 7 o'clock, but I'm not always present, right? So even if you're just sitting here and you just have the computer on and you're still laying down, the fact that you are here on, if you decided to open up that computer, get to click the link and listen, just goes to show you that you are present. So appreciate that. So back to what I was saying, right? So I had to put this book down, and I ended up putting the book down, and I started reading it actually on Wednesday and didn't realize like I had maybe 5 pages left until I finished the book. So I just finished it off really quickly. And I was blown away with these last 5 pages. So I'm going to share these last 5 pages. And this is going to be kind of the script, or, my script for how we're going to attack this next hour. So I'm going straight to the back again. This book is amazing. Don't go straight to the back and read it. Read the whole thing. And just to give you a gist of it, it is. So if you guys are familiar with Michael Gladwell, he wrote in this book, I think the book's name is The Outliers. It's an amazing book. You should read that book as well. But Michael Gladwell specifically talks about people who put 10,000 hours into their work, right? So once you put 10,000 hours into your craft, into whatever you're doing, you essentially become a master at it, right? So if I painted for 10,000 hours, I would be, with all the practice and all that good stuff, I would be considered a master. If I'm reading on a certain subject matter for 10,000 hours, if I'm chopping wood for 10,000 hours, whatever you do for 10,000 hours, you become a master at it, right? But James's concept is that you don't need 10,000 hours, because 10,000 hours is a lot of time, right? So unless you are, doing these things when you're 10 and 12 years old, and then now you're 20 something and put this time in, then it works. But like, as you get into your adult life, you don't always have 10,000 hours to hone on one specific thing. And once you get to that 10,000 hours, you might decide, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I want to do something else. And then it's a waste, right? So James is saying that instead of 10,000 hours, you do 10,000 experiments. Now, with these 10,000 experiments, you take every day in order to essentially try something new. You throw as much stuff to the wall, basically, until something sticks, right? But of course, it's the strategy to it. And all of that is in the book, right? So read the book. It's really good. Now, to get back to what I was talking about, the last chapter is called the 30-150 millions rule. And I'm going to be speaking about a couple of things that he talks about in it, but specifically so the chapter is called What to Tell Your Kids, or 10 plus rules for living a good life, right? And that's essentially what we're here for. We all want to live a good life. And again, this is going to be the structure for today's session. So 1, always go to the place least crowded. Write that down. 1, always go to the place least crowded. And as I'm giving you guys this, I'm going to just tell you how it works out for me in my life. And how it's kind of, even without reading this, like how my brain is figuring out what my next steps will be, on a day-to-day basis in order to achieve my long-term goals. So I'll say it again. Always go to the place least crowded. So it says, success is found where nobody else is. A friend of mine's daughter wanted to get into Harvard, but how many kids in the New York City area with good grades and good SAT scores apply for Harvard? All of them do. There's too much competition. She got fascinated with race car driving and took lessons as soon as she was old enough. She was passionate about it. She watched videos and got on the racetrack with a coach as often as she could. And eventually she became okay at racing. She wasn't winning, but she was good enough at car racing. And because of the fact that she was a teenager and that she was a female race car driver, that was actually what got her into Harvard once she applied. But she was having such a good time doing it and living out her passions that she turned Harvard down to pursue her goals and her dreams. Another way to put this is, it comes from the favorite quote from Kevin Kelly, the founder of Wired magazine. Don't be the best, be the only. Now, for me in my life, like this resonated with me a whole lot, because of the fact that as an artist, and especially like, with technology and everything, like everybody paints, everybody can draw, everybody's super nice. People are doing these like hyper realistic photo drawings that I'm like, Lord, I would never be able to do that. Some people are, putting up 50-foot murals and doing it by hand. I'm like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. Like some of the stuff that we always see is just so overwhelming, because we start to base our process on other people's, work and experience, which of course is a losing game. But so for me, trying to be the best and be the only, like when, and it wasn't on purpose, but again, after, Shamani passed away, and for those of you who are new, who don't know who Shamani is my life partner. Shamani is Shawnee's daughter. She ended up passing away 2 years ago, 2019, October 6th, due to a pulmonary embolism after giving birth to our second child. And when she passed away, and I spoke about this early on a show that I was on, her passing, it really gave me a purpose and something to fight for, right? So since then, I've been doing a lot of work, as much work as I could, in terms of just speaking about my experience dealing with maternal mortality, and the day-to-day struggle with it, trying to find peace of mind, trying to refocus, trying to retool, trying to restructure my life after losing my partner in a way that's going to be fulfilling for me as well as for my children, and just the struggles of doing so. And in that process, art has been a huge influence on me. One, just the therapeutic piece of it, of being able to put my emotions somewhere, and then being to tangibly being able to see it, as I'm creating it, right? So again, Shamani's passing gave me purpose, and it gave my art purpose, right? So in this space, unfortunately, the statistics are is that 700 to 900 women pass away every year due to the maternal health crisis, and about 50 to 75,000 women suffer from maternal morbidity, which is near-death experiences after giving birth to their children, right? So in this process, we speak about these mothers and, children losing their mothers or almost losing their mothers, but we don't hear too much about, it takes two people to bring a child into this world. For most people, right? So we don't necessarily always hear about the fathers in this experience. So just the simple fact that there are 700 to 900 women passing, there 700 to 900 fathers who are now, without their life partner. But in the space, it's like a desert. There are no men really speaking on these issues and how it affects them, how they fellowship with other men, how they lean on the community, so being not necessarily doing this on purpose, but now essentially being in this space and being kind of one of the only very few people who are, actively engaging with the community in this way, and then using my artwork as the conduit in order to express myself emotionally, but also as a way to, bring life to these statistics and this epidemic is crucial for me, but I didn't necessarily realize how crucial and how much needed it was for the community in itself, right? So this is where, I'm trying to do the best, be the best in this space. And essentially I'm the only person in this space doing it as well. So, it allows more of I guess that's like a kind of a big fish in a small pond type of situation, as opposed to, just doing what you see everybody else doing, so kind of just let that sit and resonate with you. And I say all of that to say that, we all have a gift, right? But we all don't necessarily take the time to explore, try to figure out what that is. I meet a lot of people who tell me, like, I don't have any hobbies, I don't have any talents, and that's not the case. It's essentially, what have you tried? Right. So I urge everybody on this call, who doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, how much time you have or how much time you don't, like, it's really important that, we take time to figure out, what we enjoy, right? Essentially, right? What we like doing, and do that, right? And do that, because we have a finite time on this planet. So again, find what you love, and then find a way to connect your passion, right, with the purpose in order to amplify your voice. So that was number one. Yes.
Before we go to number
Omari,
two.
before we go on to your number one, I love that question, and I love that statement, finding what you love. And we can actually get some members from the community who may, have a comment to share in regards to that, finding what you love, being the only one, not just being the best, but being the one in a certain space. Is there anyone who would like to come on and share what have come up for them so far in our session?
Awesome. Let's see.
Brother John, Carl, I was about to jump in as myself, because, it was very provocative, Brother Omari, in terms of what allowed you to enter into the space of your advocacy now. And, you know, from my experiences, sometimes you'll hear a call that's aspirational, but then you also sometimes hear a call and in response to trauma, right? And it sounds like there was you know, you operated with certain gifts, but the trauma around the transition gave you a direct focus around those gifts, right? And though that kind of allowed you to enter into a realm that you had no idea that existed, you know. And now, you know, I'll just be interested in hearing you talk about the pioneering nature of you being the first and how you can shape what this whole movement could even look like, from the stylization of it, from the energy and the intentionality of it, you know, because you are entering into a space where you're paving the way.
Mhm. That's a great question. Actually, I was going to definitely touch on that as well. I think that for me, because of the fact that at one point I was just doing, like there wasn't much thought around it. And essentially, like, I don't think there really should be, because that's kind of what, you know, how you allow your subconscious to create what you need, right? And how you're going to move. Once you start really overthinking or thinking too much, you know, sometimes you get distracted. But at this point, right, I literally have about a good 60 pieces in my brain that I want to create, right? And I need to prioritize what I decide to create, especially being now in this space, right? So I say that to say, like, what would make sense, or what would people resonate the most with around this maternal health crisis, and how I stylize it and how I shape it using art, right? So is it more images of women who've passed away, and putting faces to the statistics and sharing their story? Is it switching the lens and flipping it on, showing women who have come through and had successful births? Or is it the hands that have brought this child into the world outside of this hospital system, in terms of creating pieces for doulas, of midwives? Is it showing fathers helping in the process? Like, these are things that I'm thinking about now. What, in order to, again, you know, create a world of imagery that can be attached to, you know, how we are pushing our agenda. When I say our agenda, I mean pushing and amplifying this issue and bringing it to light for more people who don't necessarily, one, know that it's an issue, and two, understand, like, the brevity of what it means to bring a child in a healthcare system that's not at all, you know, fixed for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people to be in fully. I hope that answered your question, but, like, so I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I know that, like, I have the power and the presence in order to start really, you know, categorizing, I guess, and creating in this different lanes, in the different spectrums of maternal health, right, and healthcare.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Awesome. I see we have a question from Facebook. Denise West says, "You are bringing much light into the space. Connect passion with purpose." Yes, thank you, Denise. Thank you, thank you. Awesome. Thank you for raising your hand, Teresa. What's your question?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am creating an NFT
Awesome.
that's talking about mortality and the effects of what happens with the men and the children that go through. And so actually your family was the motivation of why I created it, because I wanted to get it out. It's gonna be coming out. It's supposed to come out the first of the month, but I just had a lot of work. Peace and blessing, family. So I just had a lot. I had a lot of work. I started a new job that does an NFT company. So I had the pleasure of working on a new company, and so I realized what I realized this morning when you were talking is that I've been so busy working on that job that I just haven't been really working on all that goes with but getting my piece out. So I'm going to make sure in my business that I do what I need to do so I can present the NFT.
That's awesome. That's beautiful to hear. And the fact that you started, you know, that's usually always the hardest part, right? Just getting it started and getting it going. I'm not sure if y'all had a session around NFTs yet on Wake Up, but if those of you are not familiar with NFTs, it stands for non-fungible tokens. And it's basically it's anything you want to create, right? But it's in digital form. So people use NFTs now in order to it's like a marketing branding kind of campaign where people connect the things that they love and allow you to use this in a digital space that maybe provide you extra incentives to go somewhere, to do something, to get extra discounts or whatever you want it to be. But it's super innovative, and I haven't even thought about creating an NFT around, you know,
Yes.
art. So this and maternal health. That's amazing, Teresa. Thank you.
And what you could do, Omari, is that your actual paintings could become NFTs.
Yeah, definitely.
What you do is that what you would like you would well, we do it, but whoever you want to do it with, they have they would create you a digital version,
Mhm.
and you would create it into, and the thing about it is that, like, you know how especially like when you're doing what you're doing, sometimes like people like to try to stop you, but when you take it into the metaverse, then you could control who has access to your stuff and your message, or your, like, because like we just recently did a piece for Fabian. We were part of the creation for Fabian Williams, the artist. And
Mhm.
so what he said recently in his interview, that he created this art because when he did his last piece, that they actually tore the building down completely to make sure they would get rid of any signs of his piece being created. So when you put your piece in the metaverse, it keeps you from having to anyone can't access your piece and just come and destroy you, especially if you're doing a message that the world doesn't want to hear. So this is why he did it. And so it's just a beautiful thing. But I'm gonna actually I'm gonna share it with you.
Yeah, please do.
I've shared it with Shawnee. I just wanted to see what I did, but I'm actually gonna share it with you. I'll inbox it to you, and then so you can see it. And then once so you can see what I was doing, because I was thinking about just talking to you about another time. But I'm peace and blessing. I really appreciate y'all just bringing a subject forward that people need to know about, and I'm complete.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. We have any more questions? Anybody? All right, great. So no other questions. So I'm gonna get to the second lesson. Yo, it is so crazy, man. I love you. I never signed up for the half-hour session because there's no way I'll be able to get through anything in a half an hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to 2. I'm hoping to try to make it to 10. If it doesn't happen, then it's fine because y'all are gonna get the book and read it yourselves anyway, right? So the second one is being secretly good to people. It equals superhero. Being famous for the sake of being famous equals loser, right? And this is where community comes in, right? Right. So and again, I'm gonna speak to this in terms of my experience, right? So and my experience in art and using my art as a tool to help forward this revolution, right? So for me, like, I started creating her Inner Honor series just because I wanted to create a piece for Shamani, even though I already had like created about 5 or 6 different pieces for her or of her between like October and I think I started in like the summer of 2022. Something was just, again, my conscious was just telling me, you need to create another piece of Shamani, right? So I created that piece of Shamani. And then again, as soon as I was finished with it, and so again, my subconscious told me now create a piece of Amber Isaac Rose. And as I finished that one, my subconscious told me now create a piece of Kira Johnson. And that's kind of how the In Her Honor series got started. And as I was doing it and creating it, you know, because I've never met these women on this physical plane, like I definitely felt their energy, had a chance to understand who they were as people and connect with them in a way that I wouldn't have never been able to if I didn't paint. Because if you paint, especially when you're painting for somebody's picture, it's a very intimate process because you're spending hours just looking at them, right? Looking into their eyes, looking at their structure, looking at their, their beauty, looking at the things that are inconsistent, right? And in that exchange, like you start to feel and understand, and create a connection with them that doesn't necessarily happen, right? So, and I say that to say, try this, because it's something that we don't do I don't want to say at all, but very little as human beings, is we don't look into people's eyes. It's because of the fact that once you look into somebody's eyes, you create there's a different type of connection, different type of feeling that happens, right? So I charge everybody today, try it today. Whoever you love, like whoever your loved one is, try to look into their eyes for 1 minute, right? Actually, let's do 30 seconds. Try 30 seconds. If you can do 30 seconds and get past that, then go for the minute. But just look into each other's eyes. Don't break eye contact. And see how that experience kind of shifts and changes you guys. 1 minute doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're staring into somebody's eyes, it can feel like an eternity because things start to come up that we don't necessarily want to deal with, things that we never even thought of, things that we didn't see before, so this is kind of what happens when you create as an artist. Like there's a different type of connection that you end up building with somebody. So to get back to number 2 though, like using my gifts and being able to then share it with people allowed me to be just secretly good to people, right? To connect with people in ways that other people haven't connected, and then to show my, solidarity and wanting to, help them in their time of need, as well as helping myself in my time of need. But, to create a real connection or a real bond with people who I might not have necessarily known for any time at all, honestly. But I can honestly and truly say that the men who I have created this artwork for in order to honor their wives, I still speak to today, So it was a really quick conduit. It really kind of tethered all of us together in a way that would not have happened if I didn't open up myself to create this artwork for them, right? To be secretly good to people, to build this army, right? So we could take over the revolution. Any questions?
Well, I think we should look at some people maybe sharing some reflections a little bit about maybe how they might have launched something or pioneered something that took some of their initial energy and brain power that they might not even thought and had any preconceived notions about, but somehow maybe stumbled across. Anybody out there have any ideas that are similar to Omari in terms of entering into their own passion and purpose, and how you started to launch your mission? We heard Omari in terms of reflecting on, having this gift, having this talent, having this passion, also being inspired by the transition of his partner. Sister Gina, do you have any remarks about your own journey and some of the things that you might be pioneering right now in your own quest for revolution?
Good morning, everyone. I'm at the airport making a pickup run, so I may have to jet out at any minute. So I didn't want to say anything, Brother Kamau, but I felt you. Um, yeah, but I'm trying to put it into words. Okay, so I did have an experience, a vision that led me to my purpose. And so the vision was reversing the transatlantic slave trade, to heal racial trauma. Um, so like by physically taking ships back to Africa, and along the way having healing workshops and exercises and art, brother Omari on the ship with us, um, and things like of that nature. Um, I am working now. I realized that that's my purpose. When I had the vision, didn't know what it was about. I'm not in any sort of field of these things at all. I'm not in travel. I'm not in education. I will, what is it? Not in education, but I'm not in the healing arts or history or any of those things. So it just, for me at the time, just felt like, oh, okay, what is that? I don't know what I would do with something like that. But as people told me when I explained what happened, that that's your vision, that's your purpose.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, great. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that purpose. I don't have any means to make something like that real. And then then people started showing up in my life that was showing me how I'm the person that's going to help you make that real. And sometimes they didn't know it. Sometimes I didn't know it, but then it started to come together. And then I recently did the last cohort in Be the Tree. And then the purpose really became much more solid, because we had to do exercises and discover our purpose and declare our purpose, to the community. And so where I am now is I'm working with a coach, a business coach, because as they explained to me, this is a business. This is something you have to, you know, put it together so that you can bring it into the world, so that it doesn't just get stuck in your head and in your heart. So I'm kind of working on it. I'm working on it, but that's where I am right now. So that's why I wasn't going to say anything, because it feels to me nebulous. But thank you, Brother Omari, for getting us to talk about it, and thank you to Brother Kamal for putting me on Front Street like that.
That's great.
I am complete.
Thank you for sharing. And it's an amazing idea. That is an amazing idea. I'm sure. Like even if you didn't have anything and just if you were able to just take the ship and go from where we are to Africa, on that same line, like that in itself is like, I'm sure there will be tons of emotions that come up, in that process. But that's amazing. And I'm glad that you shared it, that you spoke it, because we don't do that enough, right? Say things out loud in order to, help push our efforts. It's super important that we, say it out loud, and then it forces us to like, damn, I read it. I said it. So I got to make it happen now.
Exactly.
But that's
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I see Sister Kaisha's hand is up. Peace,
Yes.
Sister Kaisha.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Kaisha.
Okay. Hi.
Good morning.
I thank you for allowing me to speak, because I'm just listening, and I didn't until you asked that question about purpose. Like, I wasn't gonna speak because I'm driving as well, and when I say I'm listening, I'm ingesting what you're saying, because I'm on an open road right now and there's no traffic, and I'm saying to myself, I was like, oh, this is easy. It's an easy drive. Um, Before I have to make the next transition. And this, I'm bringing the drive up because when you're driving, you're thinking. It's like you kind of get tunnel vision, especially if you're on the straightaway like I am. I'm on I-10 West. And on I-10 West, I've gone through 3 states so far. And it's just the transition of doing that and listening and just not even thinking about it. So when you said help people secretly, and you're talking about purpose, emotions welled up in me because I was thinking about my purpose. Some people already know that I do grief work, grief support.
Aisha, you still there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry if I'm mute. I shouldn't have muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I do grief work with my church, and when you the last 2 weeks, names been coming to me. I haven't done a group in a few months, and I wasn't going to do a group for a while, but names been coming to me through my pastor, and for like a good 2 weeks, I spoke to 4 people, and I'm not a therapist, but even though I'm out of group, I still gave them, the people that lost loved ones, some undivided attention, and based on my own experience, I might have gave them an idea on how to shift their mind, on how to get out of their grief rut. And at the end of the conversation, which is about 45 minutes to an hour, I could hear a little bit of relief in their voice to say, thank you for changing my mind. I was speaking to people that was in their grief, maybe 7 months, within their grief for a year, and I would just show them the blessings that's around them. And I'm talking about losses of parents and children, and show the blessings that's around them and what to look forward to. And as you go through your grief, sometimes when you're stuck in grief, you don't see nothing in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So it might take someone on the outside of you to talk about how you could turn your grief into something positive, like you're doing with your artwork. For an example, there was one lady who lost her son to COVID. So, we talked about how, the death was out of order, and she's just not dealing well with that part. So as she made a comment, she said, I just need to get out of town. I just need to leave. He was born and raised here, and everything here reminds me of him. And I do know from grief, my grief support, don't make, drastic decisions when you're in the state of grief.
Yeah.
That you would regret. So what I suggested to her, because it's pretty from Texas to California, it doesn't really, the airline tickets don't cost that much. And I just suggested for her to take a trip outside of the area that she lives in. And then she started thinking of people that she knew in California. And I just, explained to her, I was like, go to the beach and just listen to the waves. From my experience, I've been to California coastline, and I think their waves are louder than Texas, coastline. So, that's what I appreciate, about going to the beach in California. So I was like, sometimes that's all you need is a change of scenery. Well, by the end of that conversation, she told me, she's like, I'm so glad you called me. I'm glad I reached out to the church. I do need to think differently. I need a different way. Not that she's completely healed, but I just took her out of her rut at that moment and gave her something else to think about.
Definitely.
So when you talk about calling, I was watching Black Panther yesterday, and it's probably fourth or fifth, whatever, but that resonated with me because when the movie first came out, I really started getting into my support group in my church, and I felt like it's a calling. I experienced a death of my cousin in 2010, and that's what got me involved. So that's my story, and I felt, and so the portion where the king taking over for his father, and his mother said, "This is who you are. This is what you've been raised, to be." I looked at that as that was his calling, and this is my calling. It's weird, like you said, you didn't even think. Of course, you didn't think that this was going to come out of the death of your life partner. You didn't think that your next step would be helping others. The same with me. What came out of the death of my cousin, and how I turned my grief into joy for others.
Definitely.
And so I just bring, you just have me thinking as I drive and as the sun is coming up. and something for me to look forward to when I get back home and start making arrangements to start a group. Because I've been out of session since COVID, began, and people are hurting. People are hurting, and I really need to get back in session. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And to your point, like, I'm so glad that you did speak about this, because I don't even have to talk about the third rule, because that's exactly what the third rule is, Kaisha. It's good relationships equal good life, right? So that is the third rule. And that speaks to everything that you just talked about. And the thing about having good relations, right? Good relationships is that good relationships don't always equate to long relationships, right? You can have good relationships with people who, were complete strangers a week ago, but now are we've had a conversation with them. They, joined the same group, the same self-help group maybe that you have. And, you guys have these shared experiences. And, there's certain things that kind of tether people together that, again, happens because of unexpected circumstances, but the more that you communicate, and the more that you talk about it, and like what, Gina said, the more that you, even if you're unsure or don't know what it is, but still put the thought, the energy, the time into saying things out loud, you never know what you're going to attract, right? And that is kind of the overarching umbrella of what this is and what we're doing here. What I'm trying to do within the healthcare maternal mortality realm is just to talk, speak, create, right? Identify ways in order to connect, to connect people who don't necessarily have the bandwidth to speak, who don't necessarily have the conduit in which they want to really articulate themselves, but still feel the need to be connected, in order to grow. So thank you so much for that share. Thank you so much for that share. That was super dope, super dope. And thank you for not allowing me to be too long-winded to speak about the third rule, because you did it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that said, it is 7:47. We've got about 13 minutes. So I'm gonna get to this fourth rule. Thank you, Kamal, for putting rule number 3 in the chat for us. Appreciate it. Rule 3 again, good relationships equals a good life. Rule 4 is, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten, right? If you do what you always done, you get what you always gotten. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. And I know we spoke about this on Wake Up before, right? And there is no growth if you continue to do the same thing, right? Okay, great. We end at 8:30. That's awesome. It's even better. So yes, so you can't do the same thing every day and expect, right, different results, right? That is what do they say? That is the sign of insanity.
Insanity.
Yes, right. That's the sign of insanity. So we have to make sure that we use, and he says specifically, to exercise the possibility muscle, right? And how we exercise the possibility muscle. And he goes into depth about what I'm going to read next in the book. So again, I wish that, I was getting money for promoting this Skip the Line book, but, it is a good read, guys, get it. But he says, every day, write down 10 ideas. You will see more possibilities than if ever would have imagined, right? So that's one way that we kind of exercise our possibility muscle, is that we force ourselves to write down 10 new ideas every day. It could be 10 ideas for yourself, 10 ideas for other people, but writing down 10. And I was doing it for probably a good solid 3 weeks, right? Wish I continued to do it, realized how difficult it was, but like by like, you know, day 12, day 13, it was a lot easier than it was on day 2 and 3, right? And the fact that I've done it, I did it for about 20 days times, you know, I'm a math guy, so 20 days times 10 is 200 new ideas that I have down on paper that I can execute on, right? So imagine if you're doing that every day for an entire year, that's 365,000 ideas that you can get down on paper, right? And that is really mainly to exercise the possibility muscle so that you can understand how much power you have inside of you, you know, that you might have not necessarily realized before, right? So that will take us to number 5. But before I go to number 5, do we have any comments, any thoughts? Teresa said, I won't, oh, let me read, this might not be in context. Let me see. Teresa said, I won't get nothing done. That's so Omari. Thank you, Kamal, for writing this down. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is the equivalent of being insane or insanity. Gina writes, thank you for the conversation. I gotta run. My passenger is here. Have an intentional day, you fan. Thank you. Thank you for joining, Gina. You know what? I wish you could have stayed on, Gina. Let your passenger hear what we're talking about too. They could get some jewels as well, right? Don't be stingy with the wealth. Let's see. Let's get to number 5, which is super important. And I know I don't even have to be on here every day, but I know we spoke about this because we hear this all the time, and it's a lot easier said than done, but it is super important. And number 5 is sleep and rest, right? Sleep and rest. Exactly, Shawnee. Who's got time to do that shit? Not me. Nah, but it's super important, right? We got to sleep. We have to rest, right? Whenever you sleep, whenever you rest, you know, that's when you are most effective and most efficient. But I'm going to read the excerpt, right? So people always say, work hard, work a lot, hustle and grind, but you're only going to grow when you rest. You cannot grow without rest. Working is when you do things. Resting is when the brain grows and rewires itself, right? Resting is when the brain grows and rewires itself. Put in your online calendar 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon where you put the phone down, pause the computer, daydream, or take a walk, right? So I'm glad that he kind of put that last component in it, right? So rest doesn't always necessarily mean sleep. Even he said sleep and rest, right? You need to sleep, of course, but you know, resting and giving your mind a chance to, you know, just slow down a little bit and take everything in so you can kind of figure out your next step in your process is super important. Like I find myself many a days, like in my mind, like I just know, like I've got 35 minutes to do this. I got 45 minutes to do this. I got 20 minutes to do this. And then when I start finishing and getting things done, then I'm just kind of pacing back and forth. Like, all right, what do I got to do next? What I got to do next? Like I don't give myself a chance to just sit, you know, and just stop unless I'm eating. And when I'm eating, I'm eating pacing as well, right? So it's not good. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So it is important. I'm saying all of this to you guys, but I'm saying this to myself as well. You know, put down the phone for 20 minutes, turn off the computer for 20 minutes, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, or just go outside and take a walk, you know? And also too, when we wake up, it's important that we wake up and not go straight to the phone, right? Or not go straight to the computer, right? We want to wake up and give ourselves a chance to just be thankful for the day, right? And, you know, wash our ass and calm and just collect ourselves so that we can be present for, you know, the rest of our experience of that day. But again, 5 should probably be number 1. because we all don't do it living in New York City specifically. I know we're all over the, nation, all over the world with this Wu fam. But hustle and bustle is cool because you can get things done, but rest and sleep is even cooler. Awesome.
And I'll shade to that. And I'm looking in my own self in the mirror when it comes to that. And I haven't had the recommended 8 hours of sleep in many years, right? So a good rest for me is usually if I get 5, I'm doing good. So I appreciate the shifting that and really emphasizing that point a lot. I think also sometimes what happens too is that the things that we're most passionate about, which is sometimes, if you're fortunate, aligned to what your life work is, that you sometimes might not see it as grueling in terms of work. Like for instance, you and you painting, it has therapeutic value to you, and it can be considered like a release or something that's relaxing. But even with that, it comes with some kind of a balance. So I would be interested in hearing how you balance what you are purposeful and passionate about, or anybody in the Wu community, right? Just being able to think a little bit about doing what you love and doing what you're passionate about, and it reflects your purpose, but also knowing how to turn that off.
Definitely. That's a great, yeah, definitely. I'll super, if somebody wants to speak on that, that'd be great. If not, I'll definitely talk about it. But just a real quick time check. It is 7:56, and we know that people have, Sunday live, Sunday morning specials that they need to go to church and all the great things and get ready to cook and have that family feast for the afternoon and evening. So if you need to go, please stay. But if you need to go, I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for being present with us. Thank you for sharing and being a part of our community. But if you don't need to go anywhere, again, we got a good half hour. So, stay in and enjoy the rest. Thank you, John, for putting up my contact information. So if you want to specifically get in contact with me or figure out the other things that I'm doing or engaging in, all my information is on there. Only thing that's not there is my social security number, right? So thank you guys for being present with us. Appreciate you.
Jump into Teresa's chat real quick. She said, me doing different things has changed my life, world, and thinking, creating the fueled fire for a world that I never thought of. Thanks for being part of Wu Tribe. Change me. Now my creation will change other lives. Absolutely, Sister Teresa. Can't wait till your facilitation. Right. Anybody, any other comments? Anybody else want to weigh in on what you've heard and what is resonating with you? Sister Joy Benton, do you have any words for us this dawning?
Good morning. Not really. I'm just listening as usual. But
good morning, Auntie. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, nephew?
I'm well. Thank you for being on. You don't have to force a comment if you don't have one. But again, thank you for just being here and being consistent. Super appreciative. I hope your son is doing well as well.
Yes. Yes, he's doing great. I appreciate you guys. I always love listening, and I'm gonna say just one thing. I'm just like in my life, just experiencing a lot of things, now I'm paying more attention, because of certain traumas and triggers, and I'm more aware of what's going on now because of, like things that's been happening, shocking things and stuff like that. So the positive thing that's coming out for me nowadays is just paying more attention to
Mhm.
myself and my purpose. And just coming up, I just realized that my purpose in life is to listen and heal. And I get a lot out of listening and instead of talking. And some people can't relate to that because it's not them. So I help a lot of people more than I help myself. Sometimes I'm just trying to like turn that around a little bit. I just noticed that my purpose in life, I just wind up helping more people than helping myself. So I live through life doing things. I have a lot of gifts, I have a lot of goals, but I always get sidetracked by something going on in my life around me. And I wind up not fulfilling my needs and my purpose because I'm always helping someone out, sometimes without even knowing. It's just sometimes I sit back and I'm like, girl, like you should be like on top of the world right now and just, you know, just living out all my goals because I wear many hats. I do a lot of things. And sometimes I'm like, why are you not there and you here? But you know, that's life. I'm here for a reason. And I guess I'm here just to help others and that I just live for that. So I know I'm probably all over the place when I get like that, when I get nervous. I'm not a selfish.
I think you brought up some good points. I feel like, we kind of spoke about this earlier too, is just being, comfortable with your own schedule as opposed to, watching what other people are doing and trying to, figure out your timeline based off of somebody else's, and being comfortable with, what your specific purpose is, right? So if you know that you are here to help, and it's a lot easier to embrace that as opposed to trying to shift and do something else, because you're always going to go back to what you are most comfortable doing, one, and what to be true to yourself too, right? So having that and being engaged with it and comfortable with it is super important, and then that will be what gets you whatever it is that you're seeking.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of, stuff to work with myself. And these last couple of years, like, it's like I'm woke, and now, you know, just just concentrating more on myself and my needs and trying to put myself first, which I never really did since, little girl, even from the age of 4. I can't remember past 4. I don't know, but just from starting from the age 4, I was always like a leader and helping my brothers and, just, getting sidetracked, not just concentrate, like what's my purpose here? And it's always been for someone else, somebody else, even being in relationships and stuff. Like, it's like I was always in a relationship for somebody else instead of myself. It's just weird. So I'm just trying to just focus on me and now live my life purpose instead of trying to take care of other people and not even knowing that, girl, you're doing it again. Like, just trying to fight through and just start taking care of myself. That's what I'm focusing on. And I'm making changes and things is going to start happening, especially for me this year, when I'm just looking out and starting to take care of myself.
Mm. Mm,
and,
that's
and
so
live in my purpose, you
Mhm.
know,
And you continue to do what you're doing in terms of listening, right? Like, we don't do that enough, right? We don't listen to ourselves. We don't listen to other people. We just want to do our own thing sometimes, right? So, but listening is a key component to you, really living out your experiences on this earth plane. Thank you for sharing that, though, Auntie Joyce. We, excuse me. We all really appreciate it. It's not always easy speaking out, and trying to work through your own thoughts, on a public, platform, right? So thank you so much for that.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
Catherine, I see Catherine's hand is raised. You'd like to share something, Catherine?
Peace and blessings. How you doing, brother? So good to see you and hear you.
Good to see you as
So
well.
so appreciate you. I talk about you often. So what I'd like to share with the community this morning, to piggyback on what your auntie was talking about, I can relate. And so, however, I've learned my voice on Woo, and I'm liking it, and I do more talking to myself. And one of the things that I learned is to give myself grace. I give myself grace. I give myself grace. For some particular reason on my journey in this life, on this planet, I've been conditioned to beat up on myself. Right? When I don't do what I'm supposed to do, or what I quote unquote, which we don't say should do, and things to that nature. So that's what I'm learning as I'm still more now that I'm paying attention to what's important. So after I get deprogrammed from what the world had conditioned me to continue to be in motion, right? Not even letting the earth rest. We don't even let the earth rest. We just keep pulling from it. And we do that with ourselves as well. That's my experience as I'm paying attention. And so I'm seeing the importance of laying still and not having the voice of the TV, the last voice I hear before I lay to rest or go to sleep. My voice is important. My body's signals to me is important. I check in with my body as I lay down, because a lot of us are dealing with dis-ease and sickness. So what I'm learning as I'm paying attention is that the body is saying so much to us. However, we're missing the messages because we're so busy doing. So for me in this season of my life, I'm more focused on being. And that's what I want to give to the community. And I am the most important person I help today. Without question, unapologetically, I am on the top of my priority list. Yes, I am a helper. However, sweetness is on the top of the list of who's going to be helped today. Ashe?
Ashe. Ashe. Thank you for that share. That was dope. Yeah. That was dope. That's amazing. Thank you for that share, Catherine. That was great. And yes to everything that you just said. Giving ourselves grace is difficult. I have a difficult time with that as well. Want to do things well, and I want to be on all the time, right? But that's not realistic, and just not beating yourself up because of it is important, and putting yourself on the top of the list, right? Like, it's important, like, Auntie Joyce was saying, to, be able to help, and being able to share, but like, you can't, help, you can't be your best for somebody else if you're not the best for yourself first, right? Right. So, yes to everything. Thank you so much.
And there was a comment from Facebook. Sophia said, I do not sleep and rest. My family can tell you that you won't catch me awake after 9 p.m. However, when I do not get enough rest, I can feel it physically and mentally. I'm not as creative or my best self when I don't get enough rest.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. It's so important for it. We need it. We need it on a daily, every day, on a daily basis. Yes. Thank you for the share, Sophia. All right, I'm gonna get to number 6. Number 6 says, bad things will happen. Treat them like opportunities. You're going to have to repeat that every day, right? So if you're not getting rest, if you're not, fortifying yourself properly, then we're gonna have problems, right? So make sure that one, that we're getting our rest, that we're fortifying ourselves, that we are, getting the proper sleep, that we're taking breaks throughout the day in order to just take in the day, right? And also, just for rule number 6, bad things will happen and treat them like opportunities, right? So we want to embrace all the things, because there's not necessarily bad things. There are things that happen to us that are lessons in order for us to, learn how to navigate life, right? And that life is not linear in any way, shape, or form, right? It's concave, it's convex, it curves, it dips, it flips, it ebbs and flows. It does all the tricks that we don't want it to do, right? We want it to just be clean and easy, and it never is. But with all the movement, right, of life, right, and all the shifts, right, that's where the lessons are. The toughest things that we go through are what we learn from the most, in order to not only, learn from the experiences if that happens again, but also to understand, what our capacities are, right, and what we're capable of, what we are willing to intake, how much we're willing to intake. And then when we know, like, this is the cutoff point, you don't learn those things unless you are, unless you've been, trained, and that is what life is, right? It's our training lessons. So embrace the bad things, because again, they are opportunities.
Omari, I wanted to
Okay.
jump in and share something. It's connected to the first 5 rules that you just declared in the 6th rule. I find, I discovered, especially through the loss of Shamani, that some of the things that you said previously about the rules helped me to be able to deal with life showing up in ways that were unexpected. Me living my purpose, me being good to people, just the things that you've already shared in that unpacking, like that set the stage for me to be able to grieve and move through that traumatic loss in the way that I did and do. I treat people well, and I honor what I'm called to do. I don't have the rest down, like you were saying earlier. But because I operate the way that I do and what have been for many, many years, I was able to move through that loss in a really powerful way. Not to say I haven't had my moments and still do. I'm just like, I break down, but just the example of be good to people and I'll be a success. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if that's the right terminology for it, but we, including you and the rest of our family, were covered mightily because I operate from that rule of living. Like I'm here to serve. My success, and I consider myself to be a successful person, is tied to me serving the way that I serve, and people show up. There's reciprocity there as a result of me doing that. So all of the rules, they're not separate, siloed rules. They're all interconnected. Like you said, I know you're a math whiz, but just like the circle, like it's all working together, and it might cave in and then it'll expand again or replicate itself. But I know my life works because of the 5 that you just shared. And I'm sure the 7, 8, 9, 10 are connected to it as well.
Most definitely. Like, so if you, I mean, I don't know if Shorty's read this book. Have you read this book already?
The one that you know.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, there all are, you know, things that we live by. I think is, you know, it is also just really good to see in a structured kind of format. But, you know, this is nothing that is new to anybody, you know, but understanding that, like, you know, Shorty said, like, this is all cyclical, right? Everything is interconnecting. Nothing is independent in itself. But, you know, it is also good to practice, right? And to see, to understand where you're, like Shawnee said, where you're doing well at and the things that you are kind of lacking and missing in the specifically to these steps, right? And then,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, you know, just to bring it back full circle in terms of being able to start off, you know, and kick off this revolutionary week. I think that having these 10 steps, you know, is important. And in order to do just that, right, structure how you are going to be a revolutionary, right? And what are the things that you are going to advocate and fight for? That was all.
Yeah. The 2 things I'll say, and then I'll sign off to hear from others, is that even inside of my grief, what's the one that you shared about going in the direction of doing the things that others aren't?
Oh yes, be great. What was it? Be sheesh. But basically be great and be the only. Be the best and be the only one. Yeah.
Right. So even as it relates to my grief, I'm like, I choose differently inside of this grief space so that I can model something different for the world about how you can grieve and be with this type of loss. So how I showed up at the homegoing service, the wake service, I'm not grieving like that. Not that there's anything wrong with how people grieve. I'm like, I just was like, this is an opportunity to teach. And so I'm not going into the space of what people expect a grieving mother to do. I'm a leader that's grieving. So that was the paradigm that I created for myself. And it has blessed me and blessed others. And also the quick thing that I will say too, Omari, is that for the community, sometimes we hear these rules and then we start forcing them. I would say do them authentically and organically and not as Omari said, I gotta be in the other places. Omari said, that doesn't work. That gives inconsistent results if it's a strategy rather than a way of being and living, like Catherine was talking about earlier. And I'm complete.
Really. Yes, to your point, like I started off saying, like, you know, me being creative and creating in this space wasn't something that it was just like, oh, this happened to me, so I'm going to do this because of it. It was, again, like Shawnee said, it was organic. It wasn't anything that I was necessarily seeking, but sort of power in it once, you know, I put it out in the world, really. But thank you for that share, Shawnee. So that we got about 12 minutes. Hopefully we can get through 10. I seriously doubt it, but we could try, right? So we're at 7 right now, right? So 7 says, don't feel sorry for yourself ever. Don't feel sorry for yourself ever. And I don't really have to get into that because, you know, that is kind of a culmination of everything that we've really spoke about, right? It's a process. You know, this is not anything that is linear. It's not straightforward, right? Like Shawnee said, it's not like I put these steps into action and I get the results. Like it's not that. But it is a guide, right? And just like we are living, you know, this human experience, you know, with real spiritual emotions, you know, nothing is, you know, the more you realize you don't know, right? So don't feel sorry for yourself because we're all just in this process trying to figure it out, you know, on a day-to-day. We're just trying to figure it out. 8 is probably my favorite. And I think that we all need to be doing this every day, right? So be creative every day. Be creative every day. Be creative every day. Everyone else will stay in their lane. But if you are creative every day, you'll get further and faster than anyone else, right? Everyone will stay in their lane. But if you are creative every day, you will get further and faster than everyone else. And that is specifically, living in this Western world, right? That is what it is, right? Everything is super automated. You don't have to think for yourself anymore. You have somebody out here to think for you, right? You can set your alarm to tell you when to wake up. You can put on Siri and they'll tell your kids to brush their teeth and what time to put them to bed. And we watch TV all day. There's so many options for us that keep us in this box, right? But being creative and being able to create a creative space for yourself allows you to step out and really explore who you are, right? And in that creativity, you really find out, what your lane is, what you do, what you like to do, how you can really honestly be as effective, and as powerful within your community as you possibly can, right? So again, going back to this being Revolutionary Week and the importance of creating, just in the space of maternal health, right? And I'm specifically talking about the fathers that, I've been able to, commune with, who are in the space doing the work. The cool thing is that we all do, something different, right? In order to help push this, push our agendas forward and help shed more light on maternal mortality and maternal morbidity, right? I do art and, use art as therapy and as a way to connect and heal. Bruce uses his platform in order to, amplify the voices of doulas, midwives, and create birthing centers in order to have a structure for people to have birthing options, right? Charles Johnson creates policies around specifically, with Moms Act and the Momnibus Act to put policies in place on a governmental and political level in order to help provide families with, if unfortunate things happen, to give them monetary, services or just services specifically that they may need. And then also to put policies in place to help keep doctors, hospitals, nurses in line for, medical malpractice, or making sure that we all have the best care that we deserve once we go into these hospitals to give birth, right? But we all do it. We all do our own things. We all stay in our own lanes, but it's only because of, the creative outlets that we use in order to, to push and, amplify our voices and get our purpose in line with the issues, right? So again, and this doesn't have to be anything that is, I got to spend 5 hours, I got to spend 3 hours to do it. This could be a 5-minute thing, man. I'm not sure how everybody's feed is like on Instagram and, Facebook and things of that nature. But what pops up for me a lot is the 10-second art challenge, right? Trying to create something in 10 seconds. And sometimes that's all that you even need, right? Just to carve out a couple of seconds in your life to do something creatively, right? Because that is going to only open up and amplify. Because those 10 seconds will, if you do it long enough, it'll turn to a minute. That minute will turn into 2. And then we'll start seeing, in math terms, exponential growth, right? And before you know it, that is, that creative piece will be the driving force of, what you do on a daily basis. I'd like to hear from John about that too, as well. What do you think about being creative and the importance of it?
Man, I was in that moment, I was thinking to myself, man, I resonate with Omari's entire session. In that exact moment, that's what I was thinking. And creativity is, it's my life, it's my area of discipline, not just particular to painting, because I there's so many skills that that I use that are involved with my creativity, when it comes to making clothing, doing tattoos, creating logos, all of this. But today, what I really picked up in this session is that all of these, the itemized lists that you gave are things that I do, but don't always give value to. So today I learned that these are necessary for me, is how I maintain even my happiness. Being creative makes me happy. And if I'm happy all the time, it's because I'm being creative. And if I'm not happy, I go to being creative and I'm able to cultivate that happiness again. And not being happy sometimes means being frustrated with the process and needing to relax and rest, and recognizing that that is part of the process. So it's like, I look at my entire life as creativity, not just my life, but life in general. And we're always creating. And we have these dark moments where things don't work out. Well, it's like the yin and the yang, and that's when you relax, because it's all necessary for life. Life itself, love itself, is in the creative process, in the process, not the outcome. So that's my share. I'm grateful, brother.
Definitely. Thank you. The process, not the outcomes. Yes. Man, that was great, John. I just gave it a layup. Like, you just dunked that thing like crazy. That was great. Awesome, man. That's awesome. So it's 8:26. We have 4 more minutes. I'm thinking, can I just can we just read off what Jacqueline wrote really quick, and then maybe I can just tell y'all the last two, and then we could wrap up. Does that make sense? Or do we have extra time, or what are we thinking?
Absolutely, brother. You are writing the script. From the time we entered this session, he's been writing it. We are with you. And yes, all of that is possible.
All right. So let me just read what Jacqueline said really quickly. In the midst of a long kitchen renovation, I'm finding my creative spark and resolving issues and seeing things differently. I'm learning to be open to others' ideas and not being stuck in my own vision, especially when I need others to help me realize my vision. Wow. This lesson applies to other areas of my life where I have not been open to others' ways of doing things. I'm not always right, and I am being challenged in my righteousness, rightfully so. LOL. Man, that's a lot to unpack right there, Jacqueline. That's thank you for that share.
You're welcome. It's a challenge. Trust me, it's a challenge.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's so easy to get inundated in your own thoughts, and you wanting to see your vision through, even if it might not be the best outcome because of the other ideas that you get from other people, right? But being open and honest with yourself to understand that it's not always specifically about, again, right, like what John said about the outcome, but really about the journey and how you can pull other people and pull a community in to create exactly what you want, and show you ways that you might not even thought before, is really it, right? So we're talking about kitchen renovation, but like you said, these are tools, these are ideas, these are thoughts that you can use on an everyday basis to navigate life. Yes, thank you for that. Let me see. Teresa says, been sad lately, having been on UA and today, I realize I miss the love I get from my family. Sometimes y'all faces, y'all voices is jewels y'all drop just listening, don't realize how I loved and what impact y'all have on me, right? I share to that, Teresa. I need to do better as well in terms of being here and just being present, man, because again, being here at 7 o'clock in the morning, for me specifically is a little bit difficult because that's when I get the kids ready for school and everything. But that's not to say that I should, spend this time being in this space on the weekends or when I can, and like just being here today, you realize how dope everybody in the space is, man. Like y'all are just all great, and then y'all bring, extra life into my life. Like, I'm feel like after we get off of this call, like I can, create $10 million pieces, man. Just because of, just hearing perspective and, sharing thoughts and listening to people who are just, brilliant minds, man. This is amazing space. This is an amazing space. Thank you, Shawnee, and everybody else who, continues to do this every day. This is session 500, in 26. Lord have mercy. That's real work. That's real work. It takes it.
Amari,
Yes.
I heard something earlier that I wanted to go back to, and it's so relevant in everything you say. And you talk about this revolution and building an army, and you said that several times. And I just want to bring attention to the shirt you're wearing, because you showed that to me this morning, and how relevant it was, and how synchronized it was to the session.
Definitely.
Yes, meaning army.
Yes.
And
So thank you for the layup, John. I'm trying to dunk it the same way you did. But this shirt, right? This is Dead Prez. We all 90s babe. Well, I'm an 80s babe, but we all, were around in the 90s and, knew what it was. So Dead Prez, bigger than hip hop. But specifically, the reason why I wore this shirt, so I got a couple of ties to Dead Prez. One, my brother was the road manager for M1 and Stick when they were doing, when they were in it, when they were really on it. And so I got this shirt, like I probably had this shirt for at least, 20, 25 years, this t-shirt. But specifically I was talking to John, Kamal, and Shawnee about the I Ching symbol, right? So Kamal knew exactly what it was. It's a Chinese symbol that represents army, right? And Dead Prez's mantra was, they're the people's army. And again, this being Revolutionary Week and me not necessarily like subconsciously putting this t-shirt on because I was like, yo, I want to, Dead Prez is dope. I love him. But again, everything happens for a reason, right? I didn't even make the connection to the I Ching symbol and it's standing for the people's army. And that's essentially what the Wu community is, right? We are individuals who come together to, fight a cause, right? To become an army for our community, for our people, for our families, in order to, push, in order to make things happen, right? So, I Ching, Army, Revolutionary Week, Wu family, the People's Army, we are here doing this together, right? So, again, even more fuel to get out and make shit happen, right? And do it, together, and celebrate our wins together, and also celebrate our losses together, right? Because those are the opportunities to learn how to win. But thank you for that, John. Let's see, I want to get to, oh yeah, we love Dead Prez, right? I want to get to number 9, right? So number 9, and again, this is important, but I think this really kind of speaks to what, again, like Shawnee said, what we've been speaking through all day, and how this is really a culmination of things. It's not necessarily just one step, but this is like encompasses everything. So 9 says, live life as if today might be your last day. Live life as today might be your last day. It might not, so don't kill people you hate. But don't do something today in hopes of a better outcome tomorrow. Make the most of each day, right? So live life if today might be your last day, right? And again, so for me, this resonates powerfully because after Shamani passed, like I said, it gave me purpose in order to really push what my passions are. And, and with that said, I've had many conversations with her when she was here about how old she was going to be, and how she's going to be an old lady, and hanging out with her mom, and doing things together, in their old age, and just being the same people, those telling jokes, laughing, and all that great stuff. So with her passing, it really opened my eyes to the understanding and the fact that it's a very finite time that we have on this planet, right? And we don't know what tomorrow will bring. So please, it is super important that we do take advantage of every day, right? And then to kind of flip that on its head, my grandmother ended up passing away almost exactly around the same time that Shamani passed away 1 year later, right? So my grandmother passed away September 26, 2020. She passed away 3 days after Kari's first birthday. And my grandmother was 93 years old. And even though she was 93 years old, I swore she was gonna outlive me, to be perfectly honest, right? And even though she was around and lived to see 90 plus years, it still wasn't enough, right? For me, at least personally. And because of that, right? So I say that to say, you could have 30 years on this planet, you can have 93 years on this planet, right? But if you're not living every day like it's your last, then you're missing, right? You don't want to miss out on the opportunities, because it's never enough. You can live, see Zakia, grandparents 105 years old, and it's still, living and loving life, right? So it is important, super important, that we live life every day like it's our last. So do all the things, right? Do all of the things. That's the culmination of that, right? Do all the things, whatever it is that you want to do them, start them. If you don't finish them, that's fine. Come back and finish it later, but do it. Don't sit back, because again, 10 years, 20 years later, you're like, oh crap, I said I wanted to do this, and now all this time has passed, and I'm trying to, catch up. You don't got time for catch up. Do that shit today. Let's see. Thank you, Jacqueline. Jacqueline says, that's a word for me. Lately, my daughter and I have been estranged again, and I grew wary of walking on eggshells to not offend her and keep her in communication with me. I would just have to offend her and keep reaching out. Yes, and thank you for saying that, Jacqueline. I got to do the same thing, man. I'm not sure exactly how old your daughter is, but my oldest son is 15, and he's at that age where he's doing his own thing. So I call, I text, and I don't hear. And as a parent, you want to hear, like, I just want to know what the hell is going on with you, man. It's 29, so yes, continue to reach out, continue to reach out. I'm going to do the same. But again, nothing is promised, right? Nothing is promised. So we got to live for the moments of today, right? So, and again, so I'm happy to be here, because that's what we're doing now, right? We're creating these moments together. Awesome. So with that said, we are about 8 minutes over. I'm gonna get to this last one. We made it to 10. Thank you. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but we did it. We made it to 10. And then after that, we can start wrapping up so that we can, enjoy the rest of our beautiful Sunday. And the last one, and if I'm saying this wrong, if anybody is fluent in Japanese, please help me out. But it says, Harahachi bon mi. Harahachi bon mi. And if I'm saying it wrong, please, if somebody can correct me, then correct me. But if not, then that's how you say it. Harahachi bon mi. It's from Okinawa, Japan. Okinawa, Japan has the highest percentage of centurions in the world. So centurions are people who have lived over 100, like Zakia's grandparents. And these centurions aren't sick in bed. Okinawa has also has one of the highest percentages of people over 100 years old with high quality of life. In Okinawa, they practice a philosophy called Hara Hachibon Mi, which means eat 80% of your capacity. Hara Hachibon Mi means eat 80% of your capacity. Because people only realize that they are full about 20 minutes after they are full, you need to get a sense of how long it takes for you to get full. And at 80% of that point, once you reach 80% of that point, you need to stop. So he's not saying don't enjoy your food. Enjoy your food, but always remember that even when you feel hungry, you are not starving. In the US, we live in a country where most people are full every day. If you eat more, then you'll be unhappy. Again, I'll read that again. In the US, we live in a country where most people are full every day. If you eat more, then you'll be unhappy. And if you want to live to a rich old age with high quality of life, this is a good philosophy to live by. Hara Hachi Bon Mi. So I take a lot away from this, right? Excuse me. You know, because we do live in a gluttonous society and it is hard to stop. Once you start, it's hard to stop, right? So, but I think more than anything, you know, for me, this kind of speaks to self-control, right? Having self-control and having the capacity to understand that, you know, even it's not about necessarily fulfilling all your wants, right? But like really taking care of your basic needs and being comfortable with that, right? We all want things, you know, but, you know, you can want to a point where it is, you know, with anything, right? Where it's over, right? It's too much, you know, so we got to make sure that we have some type of balance, some type of restraint and the capacity to understand that, you know, important self-control is of importance, right? And yeah, definitely come out. I would like to hear from you and your thoughts about our last rule and how it applies to you.
Well, you know, I grew up and my mother would always say, you know, you mustn't eat until you're full, right? She said, she would always say that, you know, don't eat and till you're full to capacity, you know, eat to be content, but never overdo it and be a glutton. And, you know, unfortunately, my appetite was huge, right? So I would eat and I would want to try to experience the itis. The itis was the aim. But no, I get it definitely more and more as time has gone on in terms of just your appetite and being able to acknowledge the fact that when you're going over the capacity, and it speaks to what we were talking a little bit about earlier, that's in alignment with balance. Right, and being able to make sure that whatever dosages that you're taking, that you're doing it for a sense of optimal health as opposed to just gluttony. And usually the insatiable appetite comes from some type of feeling of void or emptiness that you're looking to overcompensate for, right? And so it's really being able to ask your questions and have conversations with that void to see where you can love yourself more, see where you pay more attention and affirm yourself. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's my take on that, my brother.
Definitely, thank you. And I think too, like to like Jacqueline's point earlier about the renovation of the house, right? It's similar to that too, right? You want certain things, and you want to. And to John's point too, right? It's about not always about the outcome, right? It's not about being full specifically, but it's about, you know, fulfilling something inside of you that, you know, you are using in order to get that instant gratification, right? But it's more specifically about that journey, right? And being able to take life lessons from certain things and applying it in other spaces, right? So That could be for anything, right? Being 80% full is something that allows your body to use the digestive system properly to then add more years to your life. But you know, it's the same thing as well in terms of spending, right? We want to make money to buy things, but it's so important to save, and it's so important to invest, and it's important to share and to do all of those things in order to really gain wealth and prosperity, right? So it's this sense of, yes, we're talking about Harahachi Bonmi, which is, you know, 80 to 80% of your capacity, but it is something that can be transferable in all the things that you do in life, right? You don't want to and again, speaking to, you know, sleep and rest, you don't want to overexert, you don't want to overdo it, right? There needs to be, like Kamal said, some type of balance. Yes, yes, yes. So with that said, you know, if anybody else has any other questions, we could take those before we leave. But if not, man, I just appreciate y'all again for giving me the time, for me allowing to fellowship with y'all this morning. Super dope session, great experience. I hope everybody, you know, is feel charged and energized to do, you know, the great things that they're going to be doing today. And I'm going to leave you guys with one last thing. This is a gift that was given to me from my from my grandmother's best friend. Aunt Buck. Aunt Buck is 95 years old, and she's an artist herself. She's a writer, and she still writes screenplays these days and goes to classes and everything at 95 years old, keeping her brain and her you know, energy going and moving. But mantra that she lives by, and this is the cup that she gave me, and it says, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined, right? And again, revolutionary week. This is how you become a revolutionary, right? Do the things that you love. Do them every day. And, you know, live the life you imagine. Because you only get one. Thank you for the slide, John. So now I'm doing what I love, right? And doing the life that I imagine. I never imagined being able to actually curate and create art shows, but I am doing it. And it is happening today. It is happening today. This is going to be my second art show that I put together. And I found some really dope artists, reached out to a couple of them, and they decided to, you know, help, you know, make this an actual event for me, for us, really. So please, if you don't have anything to do today, or you're going to be free sometime between the hours of 3 and 7 p.m., stop by 1012 Fulton Street in Brooklyn, New York. We're going to be we're having our art show. Some dope artists. We have 5 artists here on the fly, but there's actually going to be 6 artists represented in the exhibit. Enjoy the food. Well, we're not going to have food, but enjoy the music. We're going to have some drinks. And most importantly, enjoy the art and support our local Black artists, man. We're doing some dope stuff. And, you know, I hope that y'all be able to come by, engage, and fellowship with us today from 3 to 7 p.m. So that brings us to our special offer. Thank you again, John. So to have some incentive to come out today, what I'm going to do is that the first UA participant who was here online or has heard about the art event and couldn't show up necessarily, but heard about the event, heard about the UA session today and comes, the first person who comes will receive a free print of their choice from me. So please come through, you know, show face, enjoy the session, come by, get your free print. But you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, first come and that's it, right? So any other WU member who was on today, you know, and is going to come by the session and wants to enjoy will receive 25% off of any print that they would like that is going to be shown today. So again, please come through, support, enjoy yourself, you know, show face. And again, let's continue the community love. And if again, so John put this in the chat, but if you've missed it, here is all my contact information. I am most active on Instagram or through my email. So if you want to really get in contact with me specifically, go to @Muzz M_U_Z, or email me at omari.maynard.com. If you want to just check out some art and check out the other things that I have going on, you can visit my website at omarimaynard.com. And of course, again, this is Revolutionary Week, and I put my purpose and my passion towards creating through the ARIA Foundation, right? In order to advance reproductive innovation through artistry and healing. So go follow the ARIA Foundation on Instagram. If you are not following, please go and follow us. You can get all our upcoming information, all the things that we're working on, all the partnerships that we're creating through that Instagram handle. So again, please visit everything. And yes, the love offering. So if you enjoyed yourself as much as I did, and you would like to give us monetary donations, because my kids still got to eat, right? They eat every day. My kids eat every day. It's crazy. You can Cash App Spirit of a Woman and use the code 5260M. This is episode 526 OM. And Revolutionary Week, I'm so happy to be able to kick it off. But again, I'm just a setup man. There's going to be so many amazing people and experiences that you will have during this week. So please make sure you stay tuned. So tomorrow, February 21st, we're going to have the Daughter of the Revolution. Is going to be facilitated by Ayana Gregory. And then on Tuesday, February 22nd, we're going to have Indigo as Art and Power, facilitated by two amazing women, Reverend Naomi Nancy, I hope I'm not messing up her last name, Udi, and Celine Fendi.
Let me come back and clean this up.
So much. Thank you.
Reverend Niamo Nancy Muid and Cecile Fendi. Cecile's actually, she was the French teacher for this.
Yes, definitely. At Little Sun
People.
At
Little Sun People, yeah.
Yes. Yes, and for all of our new members, boop, 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 boop. Thank you for coming through. We love you. Keep coming back. And if you are not new, invite somebody new, because we love new members, right? We want to expand this community so that it's already global. We want more of a global reach, but we got to start at home first, right? So invite your friends, invite your family. The Woo Nation welcomes all new members. And the schedule today, so that we're all on the same page and you're not coming in later, leaving too early. The Zoom sessions are on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 7 to 8:30 a.m. and on Monday and Wednesday from 7 a.m. to 7:30. And get your swag game up, but we're gonna go back and rewind anyway, because I did not talk about the Zoom Live workshops. So stream live on Facebook and get your Woo alerts on, if you text Woo Nation to 74121. And don't forget the swag, because you got to be drippy too, right? So get any and all Woo swag at bit.ly/Woo swag. Very easy. bit.ly/Woo swag. Get your cups, get your mugs, get your face masks, get your bags, get your hoodies, get your shirts, get your mouse pads, anything and everything. Get it all. Check it out today. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. These are all the ways to stay in touch with what the Woo community is offering, providing, and allowing us to grow with them as we grow within ourselves. So please visit all of everything on the Woo movement. Register at bit.ly wakeupmovement.com. Visit us on Facebook, bit.ly Woo Community, and also at bit.ly Woo Nation. Instagram handle, make sure that you follow if you're not following at Wake Up Everybody Virtual. YouTube, bit.ly/Woo YouTube. And also if you need to email specifically and want to get some contact information about how to actually be on the session, if you're having somebody in mind that you think would be great for the community, please go to info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. Love y'all.
Awesome. Hey, awesome. I like to wrap it up here where I say, welcome to your love shower. This is where we reciprocate that love, all of that knowledge and wisdom you gave us this morning. Everyone, Woo family, welcome to the love shower. Go on your gallery view and come off mute. Let us see your face. And bless Omari as well.
Hey, I love y'all. I love you, Omari. I love you, Omari.
Yes,
I
King.
love you.
Yes,
I love
King.
you.
Success,
you.
Omari.
Powerful,
Yes,
brother.
so.
Thank
Give
you.
thanks for all your
Yes.
wisdom and all
Hey,
your time. Thank you
That
for
was beautiful,
providing
brother.
all
Thank
this.
you,
Thank you,
brother.
Beautiful day.
hey,
Sharing
love
this with us,
Everybody.
and
you.
thank
I
you for
love y'all.
being here.
Y'all got my
Love
heart.
being here today. I appreciate
Thank you,
I
everything.
love
Love,
Thank you
brother.
y'all.
for your
I love
time.
y'all too. It's amazing
Love
to
Love
y'all.
y'all. I love y'all. Love
Woo
y'all. Love y'all.
Nation.
Love y'all.
thank you.
Thank you, Mari. Thank you for the love this morning. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Teresa.
you. Thank you.